Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? All right, guys, get ready. The government might shut down again. I know. So, the federal government is expected to run up against its borrowing limit as soon as June. All right. And Yellen, she told Congress, kicking off a legislative fight that could result in significant disruptions to government operations and the U.S. economy. And the Treasury will reach its $31.3 trillion debt ceiling by when? January 19th. So, but the department will implement the extraordinary measures it typically takes to buy more time until it must default on the government's obligations. Not even going to say it, but House Republicans have promised a battle over the need to increase the limit, vowing to only agree to such a measure if it is accompanied by various mechanisms to reduce federal spending. Now, Congress last agreed to increase its borrowing limit in late 2021 when it did so by $2.5 billion along party lines. And Republicans anonymously rejected that measure, but they allowed for it to pass with a Democrat-only majority in the Senate in a previously approved bipartisan bill to allow for a one-time avoidance of normal filibuster rules. Now, in a letter to congressional leadership, Yellen implored that lawmakers to avoid the irreparable harm to the U.S. economy that would result from a failure to address the debt ceiling. And increasing or suspending the debt limit does not authorize new spending commitments or cost taxpayers money, Yellen said. It simply allows the government to finance existing legal obligations that Congresses and presidents of both parties have made in the past, she said. The path toward an increase or suspension will likely prove difficult, as Kevin McCarthy, as part of his efforts to shore up support for his new post, has promised to take up such a vote if it is coupled with spending reductions. And Joe and congressional Democrats have said that the debt ceiling should not be leveraged for negotiations over any other issue. There is no blueprint for how the government would operate if it reached and broke through its debt ceiling, though it is clear agencies would not be able to carry out their normal operations because typical spending outspaces the revenue that the Treasury Department brings in on a given day, and the federal government would only be able to pay 60% of its bills in a given month of a default scenario, according to a bipartisan policy center estimate. And analysts and Treasury officials have sketched out two possible outcomes during that default. The government would either delay payments until it collected enough revenue to cover them, or prioritize some payments until it collected enough revenue to cover them, or prioritize some payments while allowing others to go unpaid. In either scenario, though, agency payments to beneficiaries, states, grantees, contractors, and potentially their own employees could either be disrupted. So some federal workers could be furloughed once again, hence that one in there, or asked to continue working on the promise of back pay in the future. We've been through this so many darn times. It's like same day, same thing, different story, different story, whatever. Or no, did I say that wrong? I said that wrong. Hang on. Same story, different day. But as is typical, Treasury's extraordinary measures will first suspend new investments into various federal retiree funds, as well as reinvestment into the thrift saving plan of government security funds. All of these accounts, though, will be made whole after the debt limit impasse ends. And Yellen said it's impossible to know when her department will exhaust its ability to use those efforts to stay within its borrowing limit, but said it's unlikely to occur before early June. And many House Republicans, they demand their demands, sorry, my bad, are dead on arrival in the Democratic controlled Senate, and funding bills and debt ceiling increases have in recent years, I am tired, I am sorry, come about after bipartisan negotiations in the upper chamber, and some moderate Republicans like Brian Fitzpatrick from Pennsylvania, who played a key role in negotiating with conservatives initially opposed to McCarthy's speakership, have said that they can join in with Democrats in forcing votes on the House floor that conservatives or even leadership oppose. And that process can be time consuming, however, making it a difficult proposition when facing such a tight timeline. And in a joint statement, Chuck the Schmuck, Schumer, and Hakeem Jeffries from New York noted that Republicans spearheaded efforts to successfully raise the debt ceiling when they controlled the government. All right. And that they added even nearing a default could have significant impacts, as it did in 2011, and called for a quick resolution this time around. And Democrats, they want to move quickly to pass legislation addressing the debt limit so that there is no chance of risking a catastrophic default. And that's what Schumer and Jeffries said. And Republican leaders must do the right thing to protect Social Security, the economy, and our country. All right, well, Republican leaders, they have to do that. But what about the Democrats? They have to do the same. Or no? Or no? That one hand doesn't wash the other. Asking. They don't, they don't all have the same interests. That's right, they don't. All right, guys, I'm out of here. All right. You stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping. And as always, get ready for a government shutdown. Fearless. Ciao.